What's up everybody, it's Carl with Haunt 365 and today we're going to be unboxing and setting up the 15-foot Worricrow from Home Depot. Let's open this guy up, see what we got. Alright, so first of all, this box is absolutely huge. If you need those box dimensions to make sure that you can fit it in your car, check out the video description. I've put that there for you just in case. So to start, we've got the base, it's labeled A. We've got the root base that's labeled B, two bracers labeled C, a double support pole labeled D, a bottom trunk segment labeled E, a lower trunk segment labeled F, a middle right support pole labeled G, the control box segment labeled H, a middle left support pole labeled I, an upper left support pole labeled J, a mid left trunk segment labeled K, an upper right support pole labeled L, a mid right trunk segment labeled M, the pelvis labeled N, the chest labeled O, the costume labeled P, the collar labeled Q, the left arm labeled R, the left forearm labeled S, the right arm labeled T, the right forearm labeled U, the head labeled V, the hat labeled W, the head cap labeled X, the left thigh cap labeled Y, the right thigh cap labeled Z, the lower body segment cap labeled Z1, the middle body segment cap labeled Z2, 6 base extensions labeled Z3, the loop screw labeled Z4, the tether cable labeled Z5, the small parts bag labeled Z6, 4 stakes labeled Z7, and the adapter box labeled Z8. So yeah, that was a lot of parts and pieces, people. I'm not gonna lie. This might take us a minute to put together with that many parts and pieces. We'll see. Anywho, so now that we've got all the parts and pieces out of the box, let's get to putting this guy together. All right, so we're gonna start off with this base labeled A. Now we've got the root base labeled B that we're gonna go, and we're just gonna kind of slide that over those poles right there on the base. Then we got the 2 bracers that were labeled C. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna click lock each one of those into those 2 poles right there. Just kidding, don't click lock those. You'll be very disappointed if you do. Try that. So this is where you get that small parts bag out. You're gonna need some screws and you're gonna need an Allen wrench that comes in that small parts bag if I could ever open this thing up. So we have 2 of these bracer poles that we're gonna slide over each of these poles. If you look right here, you're gonna take this screw and this Allen wrench here and you're going to tighten that once you put that in place. All right, so we've got 2 of these bracer poles, they're labeled C. We're gonna slide each one down each of these poles right there. And then you're gonna take this Allen wrench and this screw, and if you look, there's a hole right here. We're gonna use that to tighten that right there. All right, now we got this double support pole. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna slide this down right here over those 2 poles right there. And then you're gonna take 2 more of these screws and you're gonna use that to secure this onto those 2 poles. Now we've got the bottom trunk segment. We're just gonna slide this over top of that pole just like that. Now we got the lower trunk segment, same thing, we're just gonna slide that right down there. Now we've got the middle right support pole. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna slide this down. Again, if you look, you've got a hole here, so we're gonna take another one of these screws and we're gonna secure that on there once we've got that in place. Also to note, there was a click lock on the bottom of this pole as well, so you're gonna click lock that in, and then just above it, there's a hole for that screw. Now it's asking us to lean this over top of that big old box that it came in. Now we're gonna take control box segment H and we're just gonna run it down that pole right there. Now we're gonna take the middle left support pole labeled I. We're gonna run it down this second trunk here into that double support pole that is kind of right around there. And again, you're gonna have a click lock and a screw that you're gonna use the Allen wrench to secure it to the other pole. Now we're gonna take the upper left support pole J. We're going to run that right there. And then also while you're there, there's a white and a black cord. You're gonna hook those up when you're there. There's also at the bottom another click lock and another spot for one of those screws that you're gonna use the Allen wrench with. Is that the ice cream man? That's the ice cream man. So next we want to take the mid left trunk segment labeled K, and we're just gonna kind of put that over that right there. Now we're gonna take upper right support pole L, and we're gonna put it through the branch segment H, and same thing, it's got a click lock and a screw, so we're gonna screw that on after we click lock it. These instructions are not great, but everything is a little bit better with ice cream, so. Now we've got mid right trunk section labeled M, and we're gonna slide that over this pole right there. Now we've got the pelvis labeled N. What we're gonna do is we're gonna click lock and screw into each of these poles coming out right here. Also keep in mind, there's a white and a black cord that you're gonna wanna hook up while you're there. So now we've got the chest labeled O, and the same thing, we've got a pole here that it just has a screw, it looks like. So we're gonna go and we're gonna put it in there, and then we're gonna take that Allen wrench and secure it. There's also 4 wires coming from the chest that you're gonna wanna hook up here to the pelvis. So I was actually mistaken. It's not an actual screw that you're gonna use to secure the chest to the pelvis. You're gonna use this loop screw instead. Now we're gonna take the costume labeled P, and we're gonna just drape it over his body right there. Then you're gonna take the collar labeled Q, and you're just gonna kind of put it right around the neck area. Now we got the tether cable. What we're gonna do, if you look, there's kind of a little loop. We're gonna hook that into a little hook here on the base. We're gonna run it up through that loop screw, and then we're gonna run it down to another hook on the other side of the base. So now we've got the right arm labeled T. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna run this pole down the arm, and there's a click lock, and we're just gonna click lock that in. Now we're gonna do the exact same thing with left arm R. Now we've got right forearm U. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of run it down that sleeve. This should kind of like snap and twist in. And then there is a spot here for another one of those screws. You're probably gonna need a step ladder for this. So now I'm actually gonna lay him on his back so I can do that other forearm. Now we're gonna do the same thing with the left forearm S. Now we're gonna take this head labeled V. We've got one cord here that you're gonna wanna hook up while you're there. We also have this pole that we're just gonna kind of slide down the pole that's right there, and then there is another screw hole, so we're gonna use another screw for that. Now we got his hat, it's labeled W. There's some Velcro on there, and there's actually this that you can kind of wrap it around his head, that way it kind of sticks on there a little better. How do I look? I feel like I look like a pirate that was hiding in the bushes. What's that? Now we got a bunch of these caps, because there's a bunch of holes where you had to click lock stuff or put screws in. So we're gonna go and we're gonna put the caps in right now. All right, so we're gonna lift this guy up, and then we've got 6 base extensions that we're gonna put on there to give him a little more stability. All right, let's go click lock these base extenders in there so this guy doesn't take a tumble. I'm gonna be honest, this guy is absolutely massive. All right, so now we're gonna take the adapter, we're gonna plug that in. I got an extension cord, let's check him out. So I don't know if I realized just how massive this guy is. I mean, if you look at him, he is absolutely ginormous. And I mean, it is actually incredible to see just how tall he is. I do like that his eyes and his mouth light up, and his mouth, you know, his eyes, his mouth, his chest lights up, but you can't really see his chest right now. I don't know if it looks better in the dark or whatnot, but you know, maybe we'll wait a little bit and see how that looks. But you know, I do like that it has that kind of flickering flame effect in his mouth and eyes. I would guess his chest would do the same. When you set him off with the sensor, his head does move side to side, and he's kind of got that servo head. It's almost kind of going in almost like a circular motion, which is pretty cool. The only thing that I am a little disappointed with is I almost would have loved for him to either have some sound, whether that's him talking or, you know, maybe it's some kind of like spooky music or something, even just crows, you know, sounding like he's out in a cornfield or something. That would be a little more impressive too. He wasn't the easiest to put together, but he was not the hardest either. Definitely need more than one person. The instructions actually recommend having 3 people, which probably would have worked out a lot better. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think of this guy? Is this guy cool? Did you get him here for this season? Are you looking to get him, you know, as soon as you can? What are your plans as far as how you're gonna utilize him, you know, in your haunt? You know, I always like getting new ideas and whatnot, so, you know, let me know your thoughts. So this guy looks way better at night as far as the chest lighting up, and then you've got the eyes and the mouth with the flickering light. I think it looks great. He is still just so massive. I mean, just looking up to him, he's just like a gargantuan. He looks great. So, you know, if you're doing any kind of like pumpkin patch or like a corn maze or anything like that, I mean, this guy is gonna stand out, you know, and he's gonna be a highlight of your haunt. So, you know, definitely recommend this guy. So there you have it, the Worricrow from Home Depot, fully unboxed and assembled. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Also, if there's any animatronics that you want to see me make a video and do an unboxing for, throw it out there in the comments. I'll see what I can do. Until next time, happy haunting. Cheers.